Look, I know it's hard to believe. There's more chaos in Congress. Turmoil over the speakership in one chamber, an impeachment trial underway in the other. There's a lot to talk about with my panel tonight. So let's bring both in. Republican strategist and former communications aide to Speaker Kevin McCarthy, Brittany Martinez, and former Biden campaign surrogate and Fox 5 contributor Kevin Walling, both up late with me tonight on the Final Five. Great to see you both.
Hey, Jim.
Thanks for having us.
I want to start with you, Brittany, because as we've learned, Marjorie Taylor Greene had put out this motion to vacate. Thomas Massie said today he would support that. Is this like deja vu for you all over again?
Oh, every time someone makes some sort of threat. We'll see whether it happens or not. At this point, I wouldn't be surprised if anything happened in this Congress. But at the end of the day, Congress is already so dysfunctional as it is. What's happened with the motion to vacate is that we've weaponized it, and that's such a travesty. I mean, let's get something done for the American people, not continue these empty threats.
What we're seeing this time is you've had some Democrats say that they would support Speaker Johnson. A lot of Republicans, right before we went to air tonight, are tweeting out or posting on social media their support for Speaker. This is a different scenario than what we saw with Speaker McCarthy last time around, insofar as you have Democrats who are stepping up and saying, look, you know, we will support the Speaker. Is that genuine, do you think, or is there an end game to that?
I think it is. And to Brittany's point, I think you see so many members that are sick of the dysfunction, right? They ran for office to get elected to do something, and you've seen so many early retirements even from the Republican caucus because of this chaos that you're seeing. So I think it's genuine. You see folks like Tom Suozzi, who I used to work for, Josh Gottheimer, others, I think, coming to the aid of a Speaker Johnson in the hopes that we can actually get something done on Israel, Ukraine, Taiwan, and the border, those bills that are kind of the noose around the neck of Speaker Johnson with regards to Marjorie Taylor Greene. So I think common sense Democrats will hopefully join with common sense Republicans to actually move the ball down the field.
The difference is this time is Marjorie Taylor Greene supported Speaker McCarthy. She was one of his most fervent backers last time we had a vote like this. Tom Massie, he's always seemed to be a wild card with a lot of these talks out there. But you know, what happens next? I mean, having been there, what does happen from here?
I mean, I think that maybe she brings it forth to the floor. Maybe she doesn't. I really don't think that she's going to at this point. I think she's been fundraising off of it. We've seen her do that before we went into the last recess. So I don't think much is going to happen other than the continued threats to Speaker Johnson, which is unfortunate because, you know, why are you going to be running the Congress in the House specifically with fear?
One of the things, too, that Speaker McCarthy did, and for some people it seems to be a scarlet letter, is working with the other side. You know, it's a slim majority. You can't get anything done by fiat because you will have stragglers. The Democrats, you know, if you look at the Senate, you have the Joe Manchins and the Kyrsten Sinemas out there. You have people who don't always vote the party line out there. So I think the Speaker McCarthy realized that you have to do that sometimes.
Yeah, and what's really funny about this situation, to your point earlier, is that at the end of the day, you know, if that vacate vote is brought to the floor, it's going to be Democrats who helped save Johnson's speakership and working together, even though it was keeping the government funded and using working with Democrats that got Kevin vacated in the first place.
Yeah.
And to Brittany's point, I mean, that's exactly why they're attacking Speaker Johnson, is for funding the government. It's for actually making the processes of Congress move forward. And we've got to have a functioning first branch of government in this country. But
you got to admit, there's got to be Democrats out there. I'm sure Hakeem Jeffries in the back of his mind are saying, hey, look, this is going to be a really good line for us to run on come November.
I think so. I think a pox on everyone's house if Congress doesn't get anything done. I think the American people sometimes don't realize that, you know, Republicans have a 1-seat, 2-seat majority right now, and that's part of the reason, to Brittany's point, that nothing is going on in terms of Washington. So I'm fearful that Congress will be blamed writ large, and not, you know, the kind of messaging that we want to end this dysfunction with the Democratic majority.
I know somebody who's been on the show a couple of times who works on the Capitol Hill side as a reporter says if you cover the Senate right now, you're sort of sitting back and watching everything play out in the House. But in the Senate, we have an impeachment trial, at least the concept of one, where you had the Republicans come over, present those articles today against Alejandro Mayorkas. From a political perspective, is immigration, I know it's a big issue for a lot of people, people. How important is that for Republicans to message on that going into later this year, or is it going to be the economy or something else?
I think it's incredibly important. I know when I was here last time, we were talking about the Virginia polling that was coming out on immigration, and sort of some pundits making fun of that. It's every town is a border town, every state is a border state. And at the end of the day, for years, Republicans have been saying we have a crisis at our southern border, and now they're getting the opportunity to hold someone accountable. I don't know how well that will work as far as being able to impeach Mayorkas or not. I don't know if the American people buy it. I know they're frustrated, but at the end of the day, when we looked at all of the Trump impeachments, you know, in Congress, what was happening there is that a lot of people ended up thinking like, oh, this is just for political pomp and circumstance.
Yeah.
And so I wonder if that's going to happen here too.
I think every indication is the Majority Leader, Chuck Schumer, is going to dismiss these articles kind of out of hand. I think you can do that with that simple majority. Joe Manchin, others you mentioned earlier that are kind of on the fence on those issues have indicated that this is not a road that they want to go down. Let's have the debates over immigration. Let's take the Senate bill to the House and pass that. That was passed by a bipartisan majority in the Senate. But using impeachment as a political tool is not at all what the framers had in mind, which is what is going to unite the Democrats in the Senate to push this down.
So it kind of brings it full circle, because you mentioned impeachment as a political tool. You mentioned motion to vacate as sort of a cudgel right there. And these are the things that are playing out right now when you have a split Congress and where not a whole lot, if anything, is getting done. And as we see this moving ahead, going into November, obviously, there is the messaging battle.
Exactly right. Exactly right. And again, Democrats will campaign on that dysfunction. Mm-hmm. We already flipped that George Santos seat, so we can tie a little bit that again to the Republican caucus and just say, elect Speaker Hakeem Jeffries, and we'll actually get the ball down the field.
So you don't think we're going to get to a motion to vacate votes?
I don't think so. I think that we have a lot to lose getting into 2024. Mm-hmm. I was looking at some polling today, and in the Senate and both the Senate, the House, and presidential election are all in a statistical tie. Yeah. So it's what it is that it's too early to tell. Polling is often wrong anyway, but
no,
you don't say. You don't say. So you know, we'll see how this all ends up.
I think what's interesting too is there was some reporting out that said former President Trump is trying to encourage Marjorie Taylor Greene and Speaker Johnson to sort of come together and understand that, you know, there is something bigger down the road. But we were yet to see what's going to happen with that. So much going on. Great to talk about it with you, Brittany and Kevin. Thank you both.
Thanks, Jim. Good to see you.
And the Final Five is back right after this.